will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bridges. Buckner.
Present.
Coleman. Cook. Coram. Danielson.
Morning.
Donovan. Finberg. Fields. Gardner. Janot. Gonzalez. Hanson. Heisey. Holbert. Hawkins Lewis. Kirkmeyer. Colker. Lee. Liston. Lundeen. Moreno. Pedersen. Priola. Rankin. Rodriguez. Scott.
Here.
Simpson. Smallwood. Sonnenberg. Story.
Here.
Winter. Woodward. Zenzinger. Mr. President.
Here. With 35 present, 0 absent, 0 excused, we have a quorum. Senator Simpson, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Good morning, colleagues. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Buckner.
Thank you. I move that the reading of the journal for Friday, May 5th, 2021 be dispensed with and that the journal be approved as corrected by the secretary.
Senator, can you modify that motion for the month of March?
Did I say February? I move that the reading of the journal for Friday, March 5th, 2021 be disposed with and that the journal be approved as corrected by the secretary. My apologies.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. Senate Services.
March 8th, correctly printed Senate Bills 173 and 174, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 40 and 121.
Message from the House.
March 5th, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revised Statutes House Bill 1045 amended as printed in the House Journal March 4, 2021. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revised Statutes House Bills 1061, 1126, and 1009. The House has passed on third reading and returns herewith Senate Bills 19, 41, 43, 44, 45, 46, 111, 47, 48, 50, 51, 52, 49, 54, 83, 109, 110, 112, and 113. The House has passed on third reading and transmitted to the Revised Statutes Senate Bills 53, 55, and 42 amended as printed in the House Journal March 4, 2021.
Message from the Reviser.
March 5th, to the Senate, we herewith transmit without comment House Bills 1009, 1061, 1126, without comment as amended House Bill 1045, without comment as amended Senate Bills 42, 53, 55.
Change in sponsorship. The following change in bill sponsorship will occur. Senator Gonzalez will be added as a Senate co-prime sponsor with Senator Scott on Senate Bill 040. Third reading of bills. Final passage. Mr. Panetta, will you please read the title to Senate Bill 121?
Senate Bill 121 by Senators Hanson and Priola and Representative Bockenfield and Byrd concerning modifications to the Revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act.
Senator Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 121 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 121 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Bill 121 is passed. Co-sponsors. Mr. Majority Leader, Senators Woodward, Senator Buckner, will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 040?
Senate Bill 40 by Senators Scott and Gonzalez and Representative Rich concerning the use of a person's driver history record to make decisions that concern the practice of an occupation.
Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 040 on third reading and final passage, and I'd like to welcome the good senator from Denver, hi there, to the land of great Republican ideas and more to come, such as transportation funding and energy policy. Thank you so much for being here.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 040 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 040 is passed. Co-sponsors. Senators Donovan, Janal, Heisey, Lee, Pedersen, Winter, Fields, Kolker, Hansen, Simpson, Moreno, Bridges, Rodriguez, Story, Buckner, Majority Leader. Please add the President. General orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole for consideration general orders, second reading of bills.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Winter will take the chair.
The committee will come to order and the court rule is relaxed. Will the clerk please read the title of the bill on the general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar?
Senate Bill 107 by Senators Danielson and Representatives Young and McCloskey concerning the Carrie Ann Lucas Parental Rights for People with Disabilities Act.
Majority Leader Finberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for the adoption of the one bill on general orders, second reading of bills consent calendar, which includes Senate Bill 107, and there are no committee reports.
Is there any discussion on the bill on the consent calendar? The motion before the body is the adoption of the bill on the general order, second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the bill is adopted. Majority Leader Finberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion is for the committee to rise and report. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. The committee will rise and report.
The Senate will come to order. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met on one bill under consideration. Will the clerk please read the report?
March 8th, Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report has had under consideration the following attached bills being the second reading thereof and makes the following recommendations thereon. Senate Bill 107 passed on second reading and ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the report.
The motion is the adoption of the committee of the whole report. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. Senate Bill 107 passed on second reading, ordered engrossed and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of governor's appointments consent calendar. Will the clerk please read the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Members of the State Board of Human Services for terms expiring March 1st, 2023, Jennifer Kim McDonald of Los Animas, Colorado, serves as County Commissioner occasioned by the resignation of Julie Ann Holligan Westerdorf of Durango, Colorado, appointed Mary Elizabeth Melton of Steamboat Springs, Colorado, to serve as a County Commissioner occasioned by the resignation of Thomas Crawford Davidson of Dill, Colorado, appointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar, which includes members of the State Board of Human Services.
Is there any discussion? The motion is the adoption of the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, all of those appointments are confirmed. Announcements. Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
And I would like to invite all my fellow women legislators down to the well with me. It's International Women's Day.
You can come down too. Senator Coleman. Come on down.
Yeah.
We're taking a picture. Come on in.
I just want to take a moment and recognize my fellow elected women senators in this esteemed body. It is International Women's Day, and Colorado was the first parliamentary body in the world to elect women to the legislature, long before women even had the right to vote nationally. And so our body has been working on getting to parity for longer than any other body in the world has. And I just want to honor and thank all the women that have run for office, that are serving, for bringing their voice to seats of power, for bringing their experiences, their history, and to this decision making, because truly our democracy works best when we have a diversity of backgrounds and opinions and experiences, and that includes having women at the table. And I want to thank all the women standing with me today for running, for winning, for leading, for representing your communities, and for lifting as we rise. I truly believe that we are going to be a better community when we work together and lift as we rise. And thank you all for joining me. Thank you.
Senator Fields.
Good morning, Mr. President and my colleagues. I want to thank my colleague for acknowledging the International Women's Day. It's a global day, and it's a day that's not decided based on if you're a Democrat or a Republican. So I want to thank my colleague, who is Senator Kirkmeyer, for joining us as relates to the International Women's Day. Because we come together to advance gender parity. And gender parity is not about party affiliation, the way I look at it. We choose to come together to address the challenges that women face. And I believe, and I think that my senator from Westminster, it might have been her, it might have been someone else, but they talked about the challenges that women are facing because of COVID-19. Many women have had to lose the, they've decided to step away from their jobs. Why? Let me tell you why. It's because it's hard to work and then also have 4 or 3 or 2 kids at home doing remote learning. So we're seeing a high number of women leave the workplace because you have to juggle both. But when you don't have daycare, and you don't have primary care, and then you don't have schools open, women are having to make very serious choices. And many of them have decided to choose their families first. I celebrate that choice because I too had to make that choice. Long time ago, it was either work, family, or income. I made the choice to do a little bit of both, work and family. So today, I just think that we should celebrate women's achievements across the globe. Because it's been women who have been able to elevate that women's rights are also human rights. Nothing new. But it's been women that I know that I stand on their shoulders, because oftentimes women are not truly celebrated. We are told to be pedestals, like ornaments. Ornaments means that you are a decoration. But women in history and today, we're more than just an ornament. We have a voice that needs to be heard, that needs to be celebrated, and that needs to be honored. We've all heard about this movement as it relates to Time's Up, It's Our Time, whatever. But women in leadership matters. Time's up. as it relates to being an ornament. I don't want to be a declaration or some kind of fixture. I want my voice to be heard. I want my voice to be appreciated, and I want my voice to be acknowledged. My gender should not be perceived as less than a man. I'm not quite sure who said this, but I think there's a saying, someone said it, that if you want something done, a woman will get it done. If you want something said, then the corn phrase is that the men will say it, but the women do it. It's women. So it's time that we all celebrate the contributions that women give to our society, not just in the United States of America, but across the globe. Women are making bold decisions. They're lending their voice to bold issues that relates to their pocketbook, their purse, their family, their community. So this logic and this thinking that just because you're female, just because you're a woman, means that you're less than. Collectively, women have done some great things, not just for the state of Colorado, but across our nation and world. I don't know if you had a chance to view the film of Hidden Figures. It was a black woman that calculated how to get from Earth to the moon, but her story was never told until maybe 2 years ago. She is now passed on to glory. I don't know why she was not celebrated. Someone who had the intellectual capacity to calculate getting from Earth to the moon. It's not taught in our history books, but she was able to do that quietly, independently, based on her own intellect. She got us to the moon. That's just one story of one woman. There's so many other women who have done some phenomenal things. I don't even know their stories because they don't tell our stories. They tell his story. They tell his story. So I have 4 grandkids. I'm still trying to teach them history as it relates to the contribution of women. I don't even know it all. But we have a responsibility as lawmakers and as citizens to make sure that we elevate and we advance the stories of everyone that has made our country great. Because right now it feels like it's shrunk. It's like only certain people get to tell their story. So if you know something that advances the contribution of women, tell your daughters. Tell your granddaughters. It just can't be about his story. It has to be about our stories. And our story does include women. And so today, I'm just here to celebrate the social, economic, and cultural and political achievements of women. It should not be erased. It should not be shrinked. It should not be ignored. It should be celebrated. And that's what today is about.
Senator Liston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I want to thank Senator Winters and Senator Fields and all the fine female senators for bringing this resolution today. I'm kind of a history buff, as some of you know, or you'll learn. I'm a junior history buff. And I want to pay tribute to a group of women, some that you'll recognize, others that you might not. Just over the weekend, I was watching a program, and it involved a very well-known woman by the name of Margaret Thatcher. As some of you may know, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher of England in 1979, I believe, was elected by the members of Parliament of her party as the first female prime minister in England's history. And she served that great country of which I was born in. Myself, I was an English citizen for 18 years. Some of you may not know that, but I was. She led England, or the United Kingdom, out of an economic recession and depression. She led England back in 1982 when the country of Argentina invaded the Falkland Islands, and she rallied England and the armed forces of England to go back and take back what was rightfully theirs, the Falkland Islands, which a lot of people doubted that England could do it. And she was not called the Iron Lady, if I'm not mistaken, for nothing. She had a very strong backbone, and she was a close ally. She brought the country of England and the United Kingdom closer to the United States than it had been probably in post-war history. Another person I'd like to pay tribute to that you might have heard of, very distinguished woman by the name of Elizabeth Dole. Elizabeth Dole was the director of the American Red Cross, if I'm not mistaken. She served with distinction. She also was elected to the United States Senate from North Carolina, where she served with distinction. And to this day, she's still married to our great patriot, Bob Dole, who served our country in World War II. Another person I'd like to make note of, who is in the news currently and has been, the former ambassador to the United Nations, Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley was the first, I believe, one of the first female governors of South Carolina. And she did a great job in South Carolina, and then was appointed as UN ambassador to the United Nations by President Trump. Another person who is serving our state with great distinction currently on the CU Board of Regents, I believe, is Heidi Ganahl, who was elected, I believe, statewide a few years ago. She was and still is a very successful businesswoman, and has served with great distinction here in Colorado as a CU Board of Regents. And last but not least, I just thought of this one, is Natalie Meyer, former Secretary of State, and I believe, I could be mistaken on this, but I believe the first female Secretary of State here in Colorado. And I believe Natalie Meyer is still alive today. I hope she is. So I too have a daughter, my one and only daughter, and I have a granddaughter. And I will make sure that these women, as well as the others in my daughters' and granddaughters' lives, are held up with great esteem. I've always been a supporter of many of the women's issues, and I had a strong mother who was a Texan who grew up in the Great Depression, lived through the Dust Bowl, and she taught me many of the values that I hold dear today. So thank you, Senators, for bringing this, and there's a lot of great women that I too want to pay tribute to. Thank you, Mr. President.
Having no further announcements, I have one announcement. Members, I'm trying to be semi-relaxed with the rules unless you impugn the president. But there is a clear violation of several today from the good senator from Arapahoe County and the good senator from Senate District 10, in violation of Rule 16, Senate Rule 16, Senate Rule 37B and 37C. Remember, refer to other members by their district title or their county, or also remember to ask for moments of personal privilege. And remember that if you ask for a moment of personal privilege, it is limited to 10 minutes without the consent of the body being in addition. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to now list all of the conservative, all the progressive women as well, not just the conservative ones. Everybody get comfortable. Mr. President, just kidding. Thank you for all of the great words about International Women's Day this morning. I do have, I don't want to belittle International Women's Day, but I do have an important announcement. The deadline is approaching to purchase your vest that says President Leroy Garcia on it. So please look at the email that was sent to you last week. If you have any questions, please reach out to Mr. Panetta. And I look forward when those orders come in that we all can coordinate our outfits and confuse everybody about who the president is in this chamber. I also have another announcement before the good senator from Montrose says something.
Senator Corn. Excuse me, Mr. Majority Leader.
Somebody has lost their sunglasses. And clearly we're doing important work here today because this is the biggest announcement of the week. If you have lost your sunglasses, they are here at the well.
Senator Corn.
Mr. Panetta was...
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
It is great to see your generosity here today in the violation of rules, but I am also still troubled that I said something that the other day that got me fined, and I'm going to replace that again. It is okay to stand up to the president when he is wrong. I have a credit.
I don't know if the good senator from Montrose was impugning the president, but he did raise a good question from his chair about the other two senators begging to be treated equally. So the good senator from Senate District 10 and the good senator from Arapahoe County are fined accordingly. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. We are off to a great start this week, and we have a few bills to read across. You do not need to be here. Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 11 a.m. today.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed no. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in recess until 1100 today.